gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for September 14th, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today we have Sims 4 going free, Radiant Silver Gun Erasure, and the lies of Jeff G. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's JordanJmiddler. How you doing, Jordan?
Mate? You feeling good?
I'm feeling great. What are you talking about? I'm doing fantastic. We had a real I do my Last of the Nintendogs podcast on Tuesday nights, so that was well timed, and we had a good sort of just laying it all out for everybody thing on there, and so I am feeling a little bit better after that because most people are very, very kind and understanding, and we were appropriately feeling like shit basically because it was just the easiest thing in the world to just not say anything if you can't confirm it, and we didn't confirm it, and guess what? It didn't happen. So it's another lesson learned.
The way that the internet reacted, it was like you posted on Giant Bomb, this is happening, this is when it's coming out. Here's all the information you need.
And at this point in life, I know that that's how it's always going to get interpreted, especially the way that we were saying. We're like, hey, we're hearing it, and we added caveats a lot of the time, but they're always going to hear the thing they want to hear will be the loudest thing, no matter how loud you actually say it. And so we know better, and we should have not had done it. But oh well, I still think it's
Speaking of the
Nintendo
loudest thing, fellow liar in the chat, Mike Minotti, says that I'm a bit low. If you could knock me up a wee bit.
Oh yeah. Let me get that. Good point. Let me see there. Okay, you should be better now.
Hello.
That's much better. There we go.
Period of mourning.
Okay. Yes, we're in a period of mourning for Metroid and Zelda. So all the respect to that in the world. We will not be working for 10 days. Flags in America will be at half staff. How have you been? Did you have a good day yesterday? It was a busy day. It was like a E3 sequel a little bit, right?
Out of absolute nowhere. Yeah, the Nintendo show was fine. Those shows are usually 4 or 5 big stories, and then at the end, it's just mopping things up. And then coming back for Sony, we kind of expected Sony to be a bit underwhelming, but I mean, start with Tekken, end with God of War, some interesting stuff in the middle. Like, it was a pretty good show overall. I thought both shows were pretty good. I might just not be as cynical as I used to be, but I was surprised that people were saying that it was a bit disappointing.
Let's get into it. Let's do this first. Before we get into this mess, let's explain ourselves. Each weekday, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news, the catch-up, where we discuss the biggest topics consuming the lives of gamers everywhere, and maybe even bring some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. Hello, Twitch. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS on GiantBob.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. We have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with the PlayStation State of Play Roundup. This did start with Tekken 8. It had no release date. It said stay tuned, and yet it looked really cool. Once it started with Tekken 8, I'm like, oh, this is already better than I guess what I was expecting from a State of Play. And the reason I set my expectations low is it's September. The last 2 Septembers, Sony has done a PlayStation Showcase, which have been all-out, nonstop banger shows. And so them coming in and saying, no, this is going to be a State of Play, well, there's been a lot of disappointing State of Plays. So I think my expectations were like properly set, and they said 10 games. So it's like, I wasn't expecting the world. I was expecting 10 games, and maybe a quarter of those were going to be like, so maybe like 2 to 3 were going to be really exciting. I think the hit rate was a little bit better than that, and that's why I came out of it being pretty happy. Of course, after Tekken 8, we went into some like VR stuff, but I mean, I don't know. Let's go through these one by one. This is the first we're really actually hearing and seeing of Tekken 8. That the last game came out in 2015. It's definitely time for another one of these. And it's, this is Sony still saying, hey, we are going to be the fighting game console. We're going to put that front and foremost. So it was exciting to see that, and I'm ready for another Tekken.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that Tekken 8 is likely going to be around the same time as the next Street Fighter, which would potentially feel like a bit of a clash, especially because you assume, I think it's either been confirmed that it's heavily speculated that Sony has the marketing rights for Street Fighter as well, because they showed it as part of
Right.
their presentations. So obviously they are the fighting game people now. Somehow they are the Evo people. So you expect them to go kind of whole hog on the fighting game stuff. But I thought this looked great. The Tekken 7 I always thought was a really cool looking game, and I really enjoyed Tekken 7. But I have been waiting for, really excited for Street Fighter as well, but it feels like there has been this period of no fighting games. Like, we've not had a new NetherRealm in ages. There's been
Right.
like anime fighters and like other stuff, but having Tekken and Street Fighter back is a real kind of statement, especially if they're both next year, which I know Street Fighter is. I'm not sure about Tekken, maybe 24, but that might be a bit far away.
Yeah. A lot of stuff did get a release date, so this one did stand out by not getting a release date, but still, I was like, okay, this is the beginning of them marketing this and saying, hey, Tekken is coming, and get excited for it. I do wonder like what PlayStation's strategy is when it comes to paying for console exclusive versus paying for the marketing rights versus just like saying we kind of own fighting games anyhow, so really how much do we have to invest on the side? Like, Evo is all us. So but this showing up here says this is probably going to have the marketing rights as well at PlayStation, and that makes a lot of sense. It's money that it's not so much money that where it like really takes much off the top for PlayStation, and they can also do stuff like, hey, we'll give you blog posts, and that's still a good way for them to pay for these things. So I imagine the next time we do hear about Tekken, we'll be at another PlayStation event sometime next year, and maybe that's when we actually get a release date. I think you're probably right. 2024 seems probably right, actually, like early 2024, and that's, a year and a half, like in that 18-month range. That seems okay.
Yeah.
Then there was a pair of PSVR 2 ports. This was the PSVR presence at the show. Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge and Daimyo. Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge came out for Oculus Quest in 2020. That game is coming in 2023 for PSVR 2. And then Daimyo, which is a like tabletop role-playing game that you play in VR, and it looks pretty cool. Apparently, it's very popular on PC. That's also coming to PSVR 2 in 2023. You can play that on PC right now, though. For this being some of the first stuff we're seeing for PSVR 2, this is where the disappointment was for me. I was like, give me Astrobot. I suppose that's coming out in Q1. PSVR 2 is coming out in Q1, and so they have some time before they really have to talk about it. But this is like a time where I thought, you kind of you step out on the stage and you put your best foot forward, and that this did not actually end up feeling like that.
Yeah, it's weird that they would show stuff that's like, and now you can also play it here, even though you could play it on PC, when this should be here are the experiences and the kind of big budget things that only the PlayStation VR can provide. Like that Horizon thing, they've showed that a lot, so I'm aware that they may be conscious of the fact that they don't want that to be the only game they ever show with PSVR 2. But like, you imagine that there's a lot of stuff in the background. Like, you remember with PSVR 1, there was that Arkham game that it launched with, which was kind of like nothing, but it was something to show. And there's been a lot of chat about like when I spoke to Mizuguchi, he very much implied that he wants to make a PSVR 2 game or is making one. So that was one that I keep hoping to see, like their next project. But yeah, it was I really don't like VR things that are like that Star Wars thing where it's like, oh, just look, you can look at C-3PO and look at R2-D2 and look around them, and now you're doing a bit of shooting. It's like very Kinect. It's like very Gen 1 VR. Whereas there was a load of PSVR previews that dropped today, and
yes.
I thought the kind of the running theme throughout all of them was how impressive Horizon was. So I'd like to see another thing from Sony first party to kind of double down on that.
Yeah, I agree, and it's obviously VR is still hard to show. That's been the since 2016. Like literally, we're going on a long time of that being the same talking point. It's hard to show off VR on a stage, on a stream. But okay, if it's hard, then why are you sort of also handicapping yourself by only showing ports, things that are very familiar, even if they weren't ports? You're right. This Star Wars thing is very familiar in terms of the VR experience that you're going to get, and it makes it inherently less exciting. I suppose it's nice to know that there will be content for this thing when it comes out, but it does not really do the thing where I am going to be less concerned about long-term support for PSVR 2 because there's so much investment going into that space. I don't feel like there is. It doesn't seem like there is, and this doesn't say, oh yeah, you're wrong. Don't worry, we got a lot of investment going into that space. The problem might not be that Sony doesn't want to spend money on that. The problem, honestly, might be they have the money and no developers want to take that money because they're like, well, listen, VR is not our future, so we got to worry about something else. Now maybe they will be able to find some studios that will take that bag. But I think a lot of studios that were doing it last time around have probably moved on from VR generally. And so it might be a lot of Oculus ports and kind of hoping that they can make some stuff in-house or something like that to make the system make sense.
If you were a VR developer, wouldn't you move on after you saw how Sony supported PSVR 1? Like that, you would be abandoning any hope that they do this again. So I think it would be a case of Sony going to these places with a lot of money and saying, we'll cover the first one, come and see what the attachment rate actually ends up being like. Very little kind of jeopardy for you guys. So we'll see. I'm still convinced that Sony will scale back how many of these they'll actually produce, and it will become like a pretty boutique product that is not like, not mass produced, but you know what I mean? Like they're not pushing it as something that everyone has. It's something that like the hardest of the hardcore will go after. Especially with the eventual price point release. That is going to be a real tough moment when they have to come out and say this is 500 quid or this is 600 quid or whatever, and there's no way you can say that in a good spin. Even if they're like, it comes with 10 games, it's like, yeah, cool, it's still like 500 quid. So they have to sell it on the tech angle, and that was kind of another running theme through the previews was like, the tech in this is so much better than PSVR 1. And I feel like they've not been the best about getting out there and saying about how much better it is than PSVR 1 in kind of like tangible terms.
Yeah, and it's there will probably get another good look at the PSVR 2 from Sony itself, not just from these previews in January, something like that. That like we'll get through these holidays, get through God of War, and they'll come back and really lay down what this system's going to be, and they'll probably give the price at that point. Maybe they'll give the date before then. But for now, it is just, okay, I'm still not quite sold on PSVR 2 if it is going to be as expensive as we think it's going to be. Because, all that tech is only so useful to me when I am in a controlled ecosystem. If it's on the PC and I plug it in, or if this thing works with the PC and I can just plug it in and I can go find the freaky parts of the internet and get whatever I want from VR, that's another thing. But when it's like, oh, I got to wait for Sony to put out a game, that's a little bit tougher pill for me to swallow.
I think that functionality with the PC is actually an interesting one, because part of obviously we talk about the Steam Deck constantly. The Steam Deck would be an amazing piece of kit if you could just use Steam stuff with it. But as soon as you burst that thing open, you can do all kinds of illegal activity with it. It becomes so much better. And I feel like PSVR would be one of those things. It's like how on the Meta Quest, if you plug it into a PC and you do some fiddling, you can play like any VR game. It'd be great if someone worked out how to do that with PSVR.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone in the chat's asking the PSVR content that Grubb teased. It's all these previews that are going up now. People had hands on. So if you want more content on that stuff, go check out the previews. I know that I think Tam and Lucy went, and so you could read their stuff, and they might have done a vlog or a video. That might be on the site soon. If it's not, it will be soon. Then we got a good look at Yakuza spinoff Like a Dragon Ishin coming in 2023. This is let me just play it here. Let me get Sonic out of the way again. This is a remake of a PS3, PS4 game, right? And now they're adding more characters from the series that have been in the games that have come out since that PS3, PS4 generation. And it looks cool. You got a lot of the characters you'll recognize in there, but then it also takes place in a more ancient Japan. So it's like, oh yeah, this is another take on the Yakuza series. It feels like a very versatile series, and they're taking advantage of that. Yeah,
it was. They spoke about it a bit more during their presentation this morning.
Yes, they did.
It seems to be that when the original game came out, it was filled with characters and music and things like that from 1 to 5, which were the only games that were out when it came out on the PS3 and PS4 in Japan in like 2014, I think. But this version will incorporate all of these new people that people have kind of got to know, and all this kind of new music. A lot of Yakuza going on. There's 3 Yakuza projects spoken about in the past like 24 hours.
Yeah,
kind of wild.
Yeah, we got the whole rundown. We'll get to all of those soon. So we'll talk more about Yakuza in a second. Then there was the Hogwarts Legacy trailer. And anything else to say about this? The game's coming February 10th. It's got PS5, PS4 exclusive quests. The tone to this game still for me is grim and weird. That's continues to be my take on it. I don't know what else to say about Hogwarts Legacy.
I think the people that are going to be super into this game are the people that were reading Harry Potter fan fiction, where everything was grim and dark, and this is kind of what they want. So
that's
I think they'll be quite
really
happy.
Good point. Yeah, okay. I'm excited for all of you. Then have fun. Then there was Pacific Drive, which was maybe the standout of the show for me, especially as I read and hear more about it. It is a run-based driving survival game. It is structured as a roguelite, according to the developer, where each trip from your garage into the zone is full of strange anomalies and technologies and plenty of radiation. If you keep your car in good shape, you'll be safe to explore, scavenge for resources, and drive further into distinct biomes that offer more valuable rewards. The land shifts with every passing storm. That's the roguelite stuff, making each journey a unique experience. Discovering new resources will allow you to outfit your vehicle with defenses, trick out your garage, and find more dangerous routes that bring you deeper and deeper into the zone. It's coming in 2023 for PS5 and PC. And boy, is this seems like a real good idea for a video game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the trailer. I was also, just to steal a thought that I had that also Tim Getty's had on Kind of Funny, surprised that it wasn't a VR project. It seems like quite an obvious one with the whole the first person driving thing. But yeah, this looked very interesting. I wonder if it'll have kind of elements of what was that like car mechanic simulator game that like Drew did
my summer vehicle or my summer car or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of, if it has that kind of thing where you're like putting together the car like it's a Lego set, if it has those elements, that'd be interesting. But anything to freshen up thick and rock survival games, and this seems to be doing it.
Yeah, I know some people are just sort of roguelites aren't their thing, and if I'll say like, well, I believe you. I also think you probably just haven't played your roguelite yet, because the loop that something like Hades does is just so good for like so many roguelites are so good, and that's like one of the best examples of it. But you probably just have to click with the genre, and maybe like by trying something so different from what we've seen before with roguelites, maybe this will win over a whole new crew of fans. And I just think, the whole vibe that they're going for of it being like the Pacific Coast Highway or whatever, right on the woods, and having this old station wagon that has all these little doodads in it, and it looks like a Ghostbusters vehicle or whatever. It feels so different from so many other things. And after coming out of so many Keighley events and the Nintendo Direct that had 5 farming simulators, okay, that's fine. I'm not really complaining about that, but seeing something that looks different in one of these showcases really stands out, and it makes me want to give Pacific Drive a real shot. Let's see, then we have Sin Duality, which is a mech battler with anime girls. How excited are you?
So I was writing another story when this was coming up, and it was like flying up the chat, and I thought it said Syndicate. And I thought they were putting Syndicate on PS5.
That would have ruled.
Like, oh my god, there are people in this world exploding. And this was the most, honestly, the most forgettable part of the show for me, especially with what they showed next. I thought it was a bad idea to put them right next to each other.
Yeah.
Because the other one looked so much better, and this seems kind of forgettable. But who knows? It's a mech game. You know what the mech perverts are like. They might be into it.
Yeah, it's one of those skiing mechs, which I actually do like. But you're right. It was right next to, and we're going to scroll up here and just play. Let me pause this one. And then it's Stellar Blade, which was previously known as Project Eve. This is from a Korean studio. It looks like a lot of the games that are coming out of this region and the wider Asian region, where there is a lot of work being put into the production values and the tech, and it just looks hyper slick. And a part of me is like, it feels like that might be covering up like maybe a weak foundation, but we have no idea if that's the case. Right now, it just looks cool. It's from Shift Up, Second Eve Studio, and in South Korea, and it's a sci-fi action game where you play as like a lady who kind of looks Bayonetta-esque with a giant sword, taking stuff on while sort of dramatic music plays in the background, and then sometimes she goes into space and has a transforming gun. That's Okay, that's checking some boxes for me. How about you?
No, definitely, it's the kind of game that I feel like we're missing, to be honest. Like there's always a space for those kind of excellent kind of combat, like the Bayonettas before Bayonetta stopped
Yeah.
being on every platform. So yeah, I this was the trailer that, despite having no idea what was going on about it, I was like, if you gave me a code for that, I would start playing that tonight. Like I'm very into this. So, and I also thought the game that it showed afterwards also looked bad in like comparison to Stellar Blade, because Stellar Blade looked like pretty kind of next gen. Look at all this, like,
Yeah, in terms of the
action.
in terms of the slickness and the graphical effects and the character
Yeah.
models, yes, 100%.
And then the next one was like, is this Ghost of Tsushima set in Assassin's Creed 3? Like it was
Yes.
such a weird tone shift.
And I mean, again, it's like, who knows? These three games might come out: Sin Duality, Stellar Blade, and let's see the other one, Rise of the Ronin. Let's check that out. And who knows which one's actually going to be like the most fun?
Yeah.
But the Pepsi challenge, where you put it in your mouth and which one's the sweetest, it definitely is Stellar Blade. And again, like it looks. Stellar Blade's doing a lot of like cheap tricks. There's the jiggle physics, and you know the girls have the choke collars on, and it's like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, she's a badass military lady, and she's wearing lingerie for you. It's okay,
So-
cheap tricks, but that's video games. And so like we go to something like Rise of the Ronin, and it looks like they're trying to take it a very serious approach to this thing, but it does not look at look at those character models. They don't look as good.
It looks like a PS4 game. Like it looks like a late stage
Yeah.
PS4 game that didn't make it in time for the actual end of the generation. But it's from people behind Neo, and Neo is a really underrated game from the last gen that I liked a lot. So I'm willing to play it. The combat in this might be absolutely like 10 on 10 banging,
Right.
and it just kind of looks a bit shit. But I mean, if the combat's good enough, then that's all people want, really.
And it does look like there's potential for that. And you know, you said Assassin's Creed 3 sort of world. It definitely has that vibe. But it's cool. Like you just can turn into a glider. Like you could just transform into a glider. And while maybe the open world fatigue is something that is setting in, I'm also at any moment I'm willing to drop that if the world is even like moderately in my wheelhouse in terms of something that I like. And this seems like it could be doing that. Then the last thing, a God of War Ragnarok controller. Yes.
Hell yeah.
One more thing. I guess I'll show this real quick. It's controller has the two wolves on it, the big wolf and the boy wolf, so that you can go boy a lot. But really though, the stunner of the show was this God of War Ragnarok story trailer. That absolutely is stunning. It just this is a top 10 video game trailer of all time, in my opinion. And I'm someone who does not have much affinity for this 2018 God of War. I like previous God of Wars. The most recent one, I thought I fell off. I've said it a million times, so I don't have to repeat myself, but everyone gets it. So seeing this, it's just like, this is so exciting looking. It looks so dramatic. It looks so like they've really just amped up. Like when things go high, they go way higher than you're expecting. The tricks that they're playing with, like, these are gods, and that's like, that is their plight. So here's like when they need to do something, it is magical and sort of mind bending. All that stuff is working for me. This game looks better than ever. This is the best the game has ever looked.
Yeah, this feels like the trailer that they were completely missing from like the kind of the marketing narrative of this game, because it still feels like there's a weird thing around this game where people are like, it's just a PS4 game that they're putting on PS5. Whereas this is the thing that's like, no, look at this. Look at the sheer amount of art in this game. Look at all the different enemies. Look how like I totally agree. I was completely blown away by this. And then when I realized that in like a month and a half's time we'll be playing it, it's super exciting. They've not really shown anything story-wise that's cohesive enough for you to be like, oh, I know what happens, but I feel like I've got a general gist. And more exciting, I'm like, look at all these unique environments that don't look like they are from God of War, which is kind of my worry. My worry was like, are we just going to go through the same areas like that are a bit different, whereas it seems very unique, and the enemies look really different as opposed to all the like troll bosses and the same kind of like flying demon thing you fought 100,000 times. Like it seems like they've put effort into making a huge variety, at least how they look visually.
Yes, I think and then this moment right here that we're seeing where Atreus shoots the sun, the eclipse, and it's not just like, I don't know. I feel like they could not have done this visual effect better. It's so cool looking. And the giant wolf just sitting there watching it happen. And then we see like other species pop up. Yeah, it is so cool. Like they are promising a lot here. And then my hunch is that if this is what they're showing in the story trailer, what actually happens in the game is probably goes so deeper. There's probably so much more there because they seem really confident about showing this stuff. So, hey, fans of the genre rejoice. God of War Ragnarok is coming, and it's going to be here within 2 months. So I think that really capped off that state of play, and I was really happy with it in the end. I thought it was quick, 20 minutes, 10 games. Many of them looked very good. Some of them I have questions about, but I have questions about every game. That's fine. But overall, I felt pretty good. What was your overall takeaway from what Sony did with this state of play?
I was pretty impressed by it, especially because I felt like during Nintendo, you always have that period where it's like 10 minutes of them just announcing like old games coming onto the Switch that you're like, how many games exist that aren't on the Switch at this point that they can still fill this time with? Whereas, as you say, Sony was like, go, 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 go. And usually in a conference or a showcase or whatever, you lose so many announcements just in the malaise. Whereas I only thought there was like maybe one or two things in that showcase that got completely kind of by the wayside. I mean, everyone get excited in the chat for PlayStation Stars. I'm gonna have so many PlayStation Stars. Like,
I still don't like digital virtual goods, and they still have not told us what we're supposed to do with them. At this point, if they don't do PlayStation Home 2, it's gonna be weird.
Just look at them. That's all you need to do. You get it's like an Astro when you would collect all the gashapon things and just look at the stuff. That's all you need to do. Just look at things, Jeff.
I love to look. I love to look. And PlayStation's going to provide that better than anyone. That's what sets them apart. All right, let's move on. The state of play was good, but not as good as Sims 4 going free soon. Maybe, definitely. Instant Gaming on Twitter posted this. According to an internal source close to EA, The Sims 4 will become free to play on October 18th. Official announcement coming today around 5 p.m. This is true. This is happening. People can expect the base version of Sims 4 to go free. And then obviously that does not, like, all the content packs, the thousands of content packs are not going to go free. That's where they expect them to still make their money. And at this point, there's so many of those that makes some sense. Now, when you hear something, though, like Sims free base going free to play, what's the next question there? What about Sims 5, right?
Yeah.
Do you think this is a sign that we're getting that soon?
I've got a source in my email inbox from Electronic Arts saying that this has now happened.
Okay, this has happened? Fair enough. All right, there we go. Well, fantastic. What are the details? What does it say?
They're going to be talking more about it in a Behind the Sims Summit on the 18th of October, 2022. So maybe that's when they're like, we are working on 5. If they're going to do some kind of like showcase type thing, then so it's free on PC and Mac via EA app or all your consoles and stuff like that. It starts on October 18th, so about a month away.
I don't know if you can trust that source. That doesn't sound right. Likely.
No, I know. It's. I mean, the end of the email has about 4 pages worth of legalese, so I think it's probably correct.
That's always that is how you
Simmers who've purchased The Sims 4 by October 17th will get the Desert Lux kit as a gift. Everyone be excited.
Ooh, all right,
Modern swimwear, I think that's what that is. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you're getting bikinis for your Sims, then it is truly worth it.
Buy it now.
Sims 5 is also coming. They're going. You're right. At this thing next month, they almost certainly will announce it. Then the announcement is coming soon, and I've heard it's likely next month. That all lines up with what they're saying. So, expect to hear about The Sims 5 soon. Do not expect to be playing it soon. The game is still a very long ways off, apparently. So, they're going to tell you that it's coming. In the meantime, you could enjoy a lot of stuff in Sims 4, though. The thing with Sims is that those jumps from the numbered sequels are always a rough time for them because they're going from having all of the content in the universe to stripping it back down to the basics and then building back up over time. It's sort of like a weird mutated version of the Madden cycle from generation to generation, right? Where they have to drop all the features when they go to a new console because they want to sell them to you again in future versions. Do you think they can get away with that in today's day and age where live service games go for like a decade plus? Some games have been going for Roblox is it was 20 years old or whatever it is. Do you think they can get away with that?
I think this is when they do like Sims as a service. Like this is the time to actually drop the 5, just call it The Sims and get on with your kind of like subscription based. Every month you'll get a new surprise package in The Sims with new furniture and crap like that. And then they can still do what all of these service games do, where they drop a big kind of like content pack that's like, oh, here's all the Uniqlo clothes and here's all your winter crap. Like if they can somehow sell people a base game for like 25 quid and then get people to pay 10 quid a month and then still buy like licensed stuff, like it's completely, it's printing money at this point. I feel like if The Sims 4 had came out like 2 or 3 years later, they would already be at this point. So I think this is the time.
I think you're exactly right. That sounds like the path forward for them. I think that EA fully understands that too. I'll say that I think they understand it after learning the lesson from something like Battlefield 2046, which tried to straddle this line and tried to be this live service game that they were going to charge you $70 for, and they got their butts spanked from after that game. So I think they're like ready to change how they approach their big numbered sequels going forward, including with The Sims. And that audience, I think, would be more than happy to do it with that game. Yeah. Microsoft has no plans to add online play for GoldenEye on Xbox. This comes from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. A new version of the classic N64 shooter GoldenEye is coming to Xbox, but Microsoft has now confirmed it will not have any online support like the Switch version does have. This was already strongly suggested, and now it's been confirmed in a statement from Microsoft to The Verge. The company said it has, quote, no plans to include online multiplayer as part of GoldenEye 007 on Xbox Game Pass. The statement went on to point out that GoldenEye for Xbox will have local multiplayer where up to 4 players can duke it out just like they could back in the 90s. So this whole time, while we've been waiting for GoldenEye to come, we've mostly just been assuming that it was going to be that Xbox Live Arcade version that is a remake, or a really significant up-resing remaster of that game, but built for Xbox Live Arcade. And it has online multiplayer and all that stuff. So, of course, they're going to put that out. It does not seem like that is the case. Instead, it seems like the N64 version is going to Nintendo Switch Online, and that same ROM, for the most part, is going to Xbox Live and Rare Replay. This is going to be included in Rare Replay. So it seems like it's going to work just like the other N64 games did in Rare Replay, like Jet Force Gemini, where it's going to run in an emulator and they'll make some improvements to the controls and to like the resolution using the emulator, not by actually going into the game and changing it itself. Now, I say it seems that way. We haven't been able to confirm it, but I've brought up a screenshot that was in the Xbox Newswire post, and well, you could see that the resolution is improved, right? But look at the text. The Trevelyan Fate, whatever it is, the character speaking here, that looks so much like what font would look like if it was just being brought up in an emulator. And if it's in Rare Replay, I think we should just assume that's what's happening. And the fact that it's not getting online multiplayer also seems to confirm that, because it's probably just the ROM running, and Nintendo has a way to enable you to do that through its Nintendo Switch Online, where it is just like tunneling software, where it's going to fake an online connection between a system that was never meant to have online in the first place. So when you go to play GoldenEye on Nintendo Switch Online, it's going to be the 4-player split screen, and your friend another player, like you're going to be able to see everyone else's screen, even though it's going over an online connection. That is going to be weird and bizarre, but that's how it's going to work. This is a weird one, right, Jordan? What do you think happened here?
This is so shite. Like, they could not have made this worse if they possibly tried. Like, this is a joke version of the worst way for this to happen. Like, yes. That Xbox version is so complete. Like, we reviewed it on VGC. Like, it is ready to go.
Because it's a done game.
They could just go. This seems like, obviously, there has been issues with releasing this game this year in the current climate. Totally understandable. But no, at no point did anyone think that this was the way it was going to go. And at no point did anyone think that all of this stuff would be completely buried. Like, it was first discovered on 007.com.
Yeah.
The the multiplayer was exclusive to the Switch. So this is absolute disaster. Super disappointing. Well, it's super disappointing for folk that care. See, people that care that much about GoldenEye, just get that Xbox version. It's so easy to get. It's like free with the Sunday paper. So just get that. But there will be people who get that, who have Game Pass and all that stuff, that see this, that aren't plugged in to games, download GoldenEye, and to not be able to play it with their pals online, they'll just be like, what the fuck is the point in this? And as you say, the text looks terrible. It looks like they did this in 5 minutes. It looks like the kind of automatic upscaling you get when you emulate anything. Like, it's not, it doesn't seem like any work was done.
The emulation in Rare Replay was pretty good for emulation, but for when you compare it to that Xbox Live Arcade remaster, it's a world of difference. And it's going to be the kind of thing people are going to play this and sort of probably put it down within a day and not pick it up again. And if that XBLA version did come, there was a chance that it could have had a small scene. It's like, oh, this is a game we play as part of our rotation of online multiplayer games. No chance of that now. The likeliest reason for this that I can figure, and this is just a guess, is that Nintendo agreed only if it got parity, only if they were using the same thing. Like, we can both use the N64 ROM, but we're not going to put your XBLA version. We're not going to do the work to bring your XBLA version onto the Switch. And so we're not going to even let you do the work to make that just run, which would have been trivial, would have been nothing, obviously. But we're not going to let you do that on Xbox even, because otherwise we're going to blow up this whole thing. It's very frustrating to think that maybe that's what happened, and Nintendo's being that way about this. That is stupid. That is just stupid.
It's a continuation of like their N64 stuff being done with the least amount of effort. And Dr. Randall in the chat brings up a good point about how they're putting both Pokemon Stadium games on NSO, but you cannot import Pokemon to them, so you can only use the rental Pokemon from the game, which at any other point in history would be understandable, apart from the fact that there is literally a Pokemon Home app for Nintendo Switch that would allow you to do this kind of thing if they just like took fucking 5 minutes to do it. And it's just like all of these,
and they're not going to do that though. It's Nintendo.
Yeah, all of these easy things that, well, not easy, I am not a developer, you know what I'm talking about, but all these things that do not seem like they would cause Nintendo's stock to fall into the mud, just to have like a nice wee thing of like, oh yeah, all those Generation 1 Pokemon that are compatible with Stadium 1 and 2, if you have them in Pokemon Home, you just have them in this NSO game, because we're not running Pokemon Stadium esports. The integrity of the game doesn't really matter. Like,
exactly.
let us just do it. But yeah, Nintendo doing Nintendo things. People always forget they are just like this. It never stops.
Yes, they never stop being like this. Yes. Yeah. No matter who's in charge, no matter what has happened, no matter whether they're Wii U disastrous or Switch successful, this is just how Nintendo does it. It is bizarre. And honestly, this is them, like, this in their eyes, this is them being so generous, because they blew up the Xbox Live Arcade version. Everyone had to agree. Microsoft did all the work. They had Rare do all the work on that thing. They got it done. It was about to come out, and then Nintendo said no. And so the fact that they're like, well, now we've come back, we said yes, but as long as you use our ROM, they're like, wow, aren't we magnanimous or whatever? Nintendo. All right. Let's get into some of this news out of RGG, starting with Judgment and Lost Judgment being available on PC right now. When I first put this in here, it was rated by the ESRB, and then since then it is available on Steam. You can get Lost Judgment for $49.99 on Steam and Judgment for $34.99. The Kato Files expansion will also come free with purchases of the PC version of Lost Judgment. So this seems like the ending of that little saga where the representation, the agency for some of the actors in the game weren't going to let them do the PC version because they like to control every little aspect of how their stars are used. I don't think they changed that. I think those characters are still in there with the same character models. So it seems like they were able to solve that problem. And now, hey, Judgment and Lost Judgment on PC, where I actually am going to play them. I'm at least going to start Judgment.
Yeah. Interestingly, look, I'm not one to just believe weirdos on Twitter, but this one caught my eye because it seemed like a source like that follows this kind of idol culture in Japan.
Sure.
Apparently, the head of the talent agency that the main character is signed to died, and the new regime aren't as like tyrannical
wow.
over the images. I obviously didn't include that in the story because that could be complete bullshit.
Right, that could be right. Could be completely made up, but
yeah.
It sounds like a Vince McMahon situation. Now, Vince,
Yeah, exactly.
maybe some claim is still alive. We don't know for sure.
Because obviously,
like that.
The whole worry is that as soon as now that this game is out, they will rip this guy out and just put him in like source filmmaker porn immediately. I mean, the fact that hasn't happened yet is a real slight on the hard work of the source filmmaker community.
Yeah, guys, what's going on here? Are you slipping in your old age?
They're in a period of mourning. But yeah, this is cool. I think these games are really interesting. I never ended up finishing the second one, but these games, there's just such a capital S style to these games. There is like a style to these games that I just love wandering about the cities, and I imagine on PC is going to look ridiculous.
It is. We'll get into the Yakuza stuff, but it's like such a good idea to just, hey, we are going to build out one of the most interesting parts of the most interesting city of one of the most interesting countries in the world, and we're just going to make game after game after game in that setting. And you having Yakuza do a lot of that, and then like taking Judgment and putting different characters in that same setting, it works. And more developers should take cues from this style of game development. The Yakuza news, we talked a little bit about Ishin. Let's kind of go into a little bit more details. For this new version, we're going to take the popular characters from Yakuza 6 and 7 and add them to this game. It's an all-star cast, said Yokoyama. The original version of the game included characters and music from Yakuza 1 through 5. When it was first released, we're going to take songs and other things from the other games and make this the all-star version. David Hines, Sega of America's global community manager, wrote in a PlayStation blog post that while other games tell earlier stories in Japanese history, Ishin lets you experience the story of how the iconic samurai era vanished. Our hero, Sakamoto Ryoma, is a true historical figure largely credited with overthrowing the shogunate, and taking Japan into a radical reformation. So yeah, this is it's like a unique thriller, like a historical setting, and that sets it apart from the other Yakuza stuff. And now we're actually getting a chance to play this in the West, so that's pretty cool. I am seeing that trailer, reading more about the stuff. I get more and more interested. I'm like, I need to just throw myself into Yakuza 100%.
It's absolutely wild that the Yakuza series has gone from this thing on the PS2 that was like completely impenetrable to now they are just like every game is translated. They're all on all of these services. Let's reintroduce all these old spin-off games and make like 3 new spin-off games. At this point, there's, I think it was called like Yakuza of the Dead or something like that, like a zombie spin-off they did.
Yeah, I thought that was like Yakuza like 5 or something, but yeah, it was like a spin-off, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like a limited amount of stuff that they still have to do, but they seem to be cranking them out, and that might be some of the reason that a lot of that studio's leadership team departed, because they were like, let's stop making fucking 10 Yakuza games a year and let's make something different. But for the people that have been yapping on about Yakuza since the PS2, God love them. They deserve to be eaten as well as they are today.
Mm-hmm. Everyone in chat says that Yakuza Dead Souls, the spinoff, is trash. Everyone hates it apparently. So I definitely think then they will bring it back and reclaim it, redeem it. Yakuza 8 is officially titled Like a Dragon 8, and it stars Kiryu and Ichiban together at last. Kiryu sporting a new hairstyle. Let me actually bring this up because it's
unbelievable. You can pull this off.
Very cute. Let me turn that off. Okay, there we go. They're looking very cute here, so we'll have that going. But revealed during the RGG Summit, a live stream by executive producer Yokoyama, the trailer gave a brief look at Kiryu and Ichiban, who will both star in the game. Like a Dragon 8 will arrive in 2024 for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Windows, and Steam. The game will once again be an RPG and will feature dual protagonists, according to Yokoyama. And you can see them walking here together. And there's his new hairstyle. This is good stuff. I like it.
He looks like Cody Rhodes, Dante
Yeah.
from or whatever his name was from Devil May Cry.
Yes.
I think I really liked Like a Dragon. Out of the Xbox Series X launch, it was the only thing that I thought, okay, this is like an interesting new game. I wonder, they didn't go into it too deeply, but they seem to imply that this will be in that style rather than the action game style, and that like a Dragon Gaiden will be the action game.
Exactly, yes. And that's let's get to that right now. Like a Dragon Gaiden was the third game they announced. This one is coming in 2023. It is a spin-off that will take place between Yakuza 6 and 7 and will tell the story of what happened to Kiryu Kazama. And that's according to Sega. It will release on all platforms. This is going to be an action-adventure game. Like you said, it will be about half the size of a regular Yakuza game. And what we're seeing here is Kiryu sort of at a temple, and he's meditating, and then some guy's going to come up and be like, basically going to say, listen, you need to meditate harder because we could tell you still want to see your family, and that's some shit. And Kiryu like kind of looks up, almost looks at the camera, but he just kind of looks up and he's like, man, mi familia, yeah, or whatever they say in Fast and Furious. He says it's all about family, and he's about to go back to the Yakuza series. So they continue to build out the lore. They continue to build out the characters of these games, which people adore. It feels like they are doing that, and maybe the most interesting way, like in terms of like all the angles they are approaching the franchise from, it seems like they're hitting so many cool beats that it kind of makes it hard not to get excited about Yakuza going forward, right?
Yeah, they seem to realize that they have all the goodwill in the world, so now they can make games that cover every minute of every character's life from birth to death. Like, they might as well do it now while they're selling well, while they're popular, while they're really kind of in the zeitgeist, because these kind of things come and go. There will be a time when Yakuza goes back to being a kind of like, not niche, but not getting all this prominence kind of series. And I think it's cool. They have yet to make a mainline game that has not at least done something that's super interesting and super like quintessentially Yakuza weirdness. And that is what I love about that series. And I hope it keeps going. I got horribly trolled. I saw a thing saying that Kenny Omega was going to be in the new game, and I was like,
They put a lot of wrestlers in these games, so
yeah, like Kazuchika Okada and like Naito and all them were in Yakuza 6. Someone can correct me on that, but yeah, it was because Kenny Omega was part of like Sega's opening video thing. It was like, oh yeah, let's get ready. I'm suspended right now, but let's go and make these video games. And it was like, it seemed to be that he was in there. I don't know if you saw the presentation, but they brought out the actors for the Yakuza games.
I didn't.
And they were all dressed like mid 1980s, like New Japan heavyweights with like glasses and like slick back hair and bright red suits. I was like, this is just better than like the Keeley show. This is the style that I want.
It does sound incredible. Real quick, how do you feel about the name change going to just straight Like a Dragon?
It's fine. I'm part of the crowd that thinks I liked it when it was like Resident Evil Biohazard. I like that kind of unification of stuff. But I saw a thing saying that this was because getting the Yakuza trademark worldwide is a pain in the arse, so they're just transitioning to Like a Dragon.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Do they have to have like an agreement with the actual Yakuza?
Yeah.
Whatever. Weird.
Very litigious, the Yakuza.
Yeah, very litigious. And this game definitely has Star Trek Generations, or actually the Yakuza 8, Like a Dragon 8, has Star Trek Generations, where like you're bringing Kirk and Picard together, and they're going to do a show. Do you think Kiryu, this is like the actual end for Kiryu, or they're going to try to have both these characters going forward? Because it feels like they passed the torch, and now they are backtracking on that a little bit, backpedaling.
It dies within 5 minutes. Like the game just opens and it
rule.
drops dead.
That would rule. Oh my god, that would rule. I would love that. That would be so fun. Okay. We got to move. Triangle Strategy coming to PC on October 13th. This is a game that was previously only on Switch. These HD 2D games, though, have been like slowly making their way elsewhere, even when they do debut on the Switch. I'm probably going to actually end up playing it on the PC because I'll just get on for the Steam Deck. That'll be seem like a good way to play it. Although it is a game that would look good on the OLED. I need to just play the demo and see if it's actually my style. My understanding is this game has so much talking that I think I would probably bounce off of it. I don't know. Are you excited to play Triangle Strategy on a PC?
God, no. It's the kind of game that I would be like super into when I was like 10 and didn't have much money, so had to have these games that gave me so much out of them with all this
Right.
talking and crap like that. But now it's like, no, thank you. Get on with it. Have a life to live.
Wow. Criminals in chat saying they played it on PC a long time ago. Wow.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp is still delayed. Real quick, this just comes from Steven Totillo on Twitter, who said he asked about the game, and a Nintendo's rep replied, "The release has been delayed. We will announce the new date once it has been determined." I think this is the same line they would have given you if you had asked them like a couple months ago. So really what this is saying is there's been no change to the status of Advance Wars. They're still telling PR to say this to press. So I don't know when to expect that game. I hope it still comes out relatively soon. I think it might be maybe a year before we see it. Who knows? What do you think?
We both know that Nintendo have plenty of games in the back burner that they're waiting for specific times to just throw out. This could be the next one that just goes into the closet, and when a game gets delayed, Advance Wars is right here.
That seems like that's what they've decided to do with this. And maybe this is like the furthest on the furthest back burner, but that doesn't mean that we'll never get back to it. We'll see. I'm gonna skip this one, this Kadokawa chairman one, because we're running out of time, and he just got arrested for bribing someone, and really it's not all that gaming related. But if you guys have questions about it, maybe we'll get to it on another show. Let's do the catch up. Deathloop has appeared on the Xbox Store. It's been PS4 and PS5 exclusive and on PC for the last year, but that time is about up. I wasn't exactly sure if it would like show up immediately, but we know that they wouldn't be able to talk about it because in those contracts, when they got the timed exclusive with Sony, it says you cannot advertise this for other platforms, period, throughout this entire agreement. And so once the agreement is up, they could say it's coming, and then also it probably will just come, right? We'll just get this on Xbox in the next couple of weeks, maybe a couple of days even.
Yeah, when I opened my Xbox this morning, it was literally sitting on the dashboard. So, and it's a year today since it came out on PlayStation. So, I mean, I kind of expected a blog post at like 4 o'clock or something from Microsoft being like, Deathloop coming out next week. Does it go straight to Game Pass though? Because the verbiage says like pre-order now, which is weird if they were just going to slap it into Game Pass.
Well, I mean, you could still pre-order because you could buy any game that's in Game Pass. However, you might be right, because even if the exclusivity period is up, that doesn't mean that all of the other parts of the contract aren't still applied for like a certain amount of time, and maybe they won't be able to put it in Game Pass. But I wonder if Microsoft would even like want to put it on their system at all if they can't put it on Game Pass. That might be frustrating to them. So we'll see. My guess here is it does get to go into Game Pass. I mean, Sony could be sort of shitty about that if they wanted, but if Microsoft's like, listen, we'll just pay you some extra money, let us just have it for this stuff, I think they could probably come to an agreement. Unless Sony was just like, nuh-uh, we're not doing that. Nuh-uh, get out of here with that, Phil Spencer. Radiant Silvergun has been pulled from the NA eShop. We're trying to figure this one out. Last night I was going to buy it. Someone mentioned that it's been taken down, and the trailer has been removed from Nintendo of America's YouTube channel. Now, you could still get this. It was announced as part of the Nintendo Direct yesterday. So you could still get this on like the Japanese eShop and around the world. That indicates it's likely a ratings issue, right? The ESRB was like, wait, you didn't do the right thing with this. We need to change that. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, I imagine this is a minor thing that will sort itself out, especially because it seems like Treasure haven't published a game in about 45 years, so they probably just put it up a bit prematurely.
Yeah, and Marina says, clearly Sega Saturn collectors hacking the store because they don't want people having this game. That's one of the good ones. It's one of the $300, $400. I haven't checked in a long time, but it's probably gone up since then. All right, let's see here. Let's get to the poll. Where did I put it? I put it right here. On Monday, I asked Big the Cat or Big Man from Splatoon 3. You have to choose one. This is a close one. Big the Cat was 51%, where Big Man from Splatoon 3 was 49%, and that's with 1,500 votes. I think I vote for Big Man from Splatoon 3, but then Mike Minotti voted for Big the Cat. So you're the tiebreaker here now, Jordan. What do you say?
I am a big man, so I'm going to go for Big Man from Splatoon 3.
Yeah, there we go, everybody. USA, we did it. All right, and I have a new poll for today. Let's do a little bit of I tried to phrase this in the least like flame war way possible. It's about your enjoyment. Which showcase did you enjoy more, Nintendo or PlayStation? I'm sure that this is going to go well, but I'm legitimately curious.
I enjoyed the PlayStation show more because I had to write fewer stories out of it.
I enjoyed the PlayStation more because I did not embarrass myself during that one. So that was a lot better. I enjoyed that quite a lot. And when I try to assess it, I like them both a lot for different reasons. I probably give a slight edge to Nintendo because they're like Pikmin 4 and that Fire Emblem game looking really good. But PlayStation Showcase 20 minutes was really good for that. All right, let's hit it. Let's do this Game Mess Mornings. All right, so Jordan, what you got going on right now? You got any stories you want people to read? Anything happen on your site you want people to check out?
Oh, on my site, Andy will batter you for saying that. The last 24 hours has been Newslemania somehow. So just go check out VGC, get caught up, and yeah, the rest of the week is looking. It will still be busy. It's TGS. There's interviews to transcribe. As far as games, Metal Hellsinger is out tomorrow, so play that because it's fucking brilliant.
People seem to really like it.
Yeah, it's a great game. Really, really good. And they announced today that they're going to let people on PC mod the game with their own music and make like custom levels. So that's going to be fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that Star Wars Metallica and Metal Hellsinger coming soon. So please do enjoy.
And on Giant Bomb, coming up in a little bit, we will be doing Arcade Pit, where me and my fellow Black Keely, OJ Player Essence, is going to be taking on Mike Minotti and Rachel Kaiser from GameSpeed. I believe their team name is Team GameSpeed is Better Without Grubb, which I don't know what that's a reference to. I'll have to ask them. That'll be happening at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then right after that, the plan is Eternal Darkness with Bacalar, myself, and Dan Reichert. Don't worry, we'll all be there, I promise. So look out for that. That's going to be fun. In the meantime, though, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you to Jordan. I really appreciate it, man.
You're welcome. I took a turn on the Arcade Pit a week ago or a couple of weeks ago, and it was absolutely devastating.
Isn't it a tragedy when it goes wrong? Because when it goes wrong, it goes real wrong. That was our first show on there, and I'm just like, oh man, this sucks. And then the next time I crushed, and I'm like, haha, I'm doing this to someone else. This is really fun. Yeah. So hopefully it goes well today. We'll see. I have hopes. OJ's gonna carry me. It's gonna be fun. Thank you everybody for watching. You're the best audience in gaming. You really are. I feel bad about what happened yesterday with like saying Zelda and Metroid Prime were gonna be there and it didn't happen. And I know it's not like no one got hurt, but I still feel bad. And everyone's been mostly real, especially if you like show up for these shows. I see the names. I know I recognize you, and you guys have been very nice. And even the jokes have been like, I could tell you it's coming from a place of camaraderie, and I appreciate that. So thank you, everybody. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.